Imagine sitting in a diner where everyone goes quiet the moment one man enters. His presence feels heavy, his words sharp, and his arrogance fills the room like smoke. That man was Victor Harlow, a billionaire known across the city not for his wealth alone, but for his ruthless, cutting tongue. Employees feared him, business partners tolerated him, and the public avoided him. No one ever dared to confront him. Until one ordinary waitress, with trembling hands and a heart full of courage, finally did. What happened next would change both of their lives forever. Victor Harlow was the kind of man who walked into a room and expected silence. His empire was vast: hotels, airlines, tech companies, and more. But the bigger his empire grew, the smaller his heart seemed to become. He lived with the belief that money gave him the right to speak however he pleased, to treat others as tools rather than people. In meetings, he humiliated employees. At restaurants, he barked orders. At charity galas, he gave donations only to brag about them. His name struck fear, not respect. And yet behind the arrogance, Victor was a man scarred by loneliness. His wealth had built walls around him, walls that kept him safe, but also trapped. The waitress, Emily Carter, in contrast. Emily Carter was a young waitress at a modest diner on the edge of town. She wasn't rich, and her life was anything but easy. She worked double shifts to care for her younger brother, Sam, who was disabled after an accident. Their parents were gone, and at just 23, Emily carried responsibilities most people twice her age struggled to bear. Despite her struggles, she had a light in her. Customers often said, "Emily, your smile makes this place warmer." She treated every guest with kindness, no matter how rude or dismissive they were. But even Emily had limits, and she was about to meet the man who would test them. One cold evening, the diner was nearly empty when the door swung open. Victor Harlow stepped inside, his expensive suit clashing with the humble decor. The air grew tense. Regular customers lowered their eyes. The cook whispered, "That's him, the billionaire." Victor snapped his fingers at the nearest waitress, but Emily was the one assigned to his table. She approached with her notepad, offering her usual warm smile. "What will you have tonight, sir?" she asked gently. Victor looked her over dismissively. "Do you even know who I am? Don't waste my time with chatter. Black coffee, steak, medium rare, and make sure it's not as pathetic as this place looks." Emily's smile faltered for the first time. She wrote down his order without a word, but inside, something stirred. As the night went on, Victor continued his rude remarks, insulting the cook, mocking the decor, even belittling the elderly couple seated nearby. Customers whispered among themselves, but no one dared to say a word. No one, except Emily. When Victor loudly insulted a single mother who struggled to pay her bill, Emily's patience snapped. She walked up to his table, placed his coffee down firmly, and said, "With all due respect, sir, enough." The diner went silent. The cook froze. The old couple stared wide-eyed. Victor raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" Emily's voice trembled at first, but her determination grew stronger with each word. "You walk into this place and treat everyone like they're beneath you. But money doesn't give you the right to humiliate people. Not me, not my customers, not anyone." The billionaire leaned back, surprised. Nobody had ever spoken to him like that. "You should be careful, young lady," he said coldly. "People lose jobs for less." "Then so be it," Emily replied. "I'd rather lose my job than lose my dignity." The diner erupted in whispers. Victor stared at her, stunned into silence. For the first time in years, he had no comeback. Victor left that night without finishing his meal. But Emily's words echoed in his head long after he returned to his penthouse. He couldn't shake her courage, her defiance, or the truth in her voice. The next day, Victor surprised everyone when he returned to the diner. This time, he sat quietly. When Emily approached, wary and ready to defend herself again, he said softly, "I owe you an apology." The customers watched in shock. "I've spent years thinking strength was about power," Victor admitted. "But last night you showed me that real strength is about standing up for what's right, even when it costs you." Emily, taken aback, didn't know what to say, but she nodded, accepting his words. The transformation over the weeks that followed, Victor continued to visit the diner. Slowly, his arrogance faded. He asked Emily about her life, her brother, her struggles. For the first time, he listened, and for the first time in years, Victor started to change. He quietly helped pay for Sam's medical treatments, though Emily didn't know at first. He began treating his employees with respect, even apologizing for past cruelty. Business partners noticed a difference, a softer edge to the once ruthless man, but the greatest transformation was in his heart. Emily's bravery had cracked open the walls he had built, showing him that kindness was not weakness, and compassion was the greatest strength of all. One evening, Victor called Emily outside the diner. A sleek black car waited, but instead of whisking him away, he handed her an envelope. Inside was a letter offering full funding for Sam's medical needs and a scholarship for Emily to finish her education. Tears filled her eyes. "Why?" she whispered. Victor smiled faintly. "Because you gave me something I couldn't buy. The truth. You reminded me of the man I once wanted to be before money hardened me, and I want to honor that." Emily hugged him, not as a billionaire, not as a customer, but as a human being finally rediscovering his heart. The story ends with the diner bustling again, laughter filling the air. Victor sits quietly in the corner, not as the rude billionaire everyone once feared, but as a changed man who finally understood that respect, kindness, and courage mattered more than all the money in the world. And at the center of it all was one waitress who dared to stand up, proving that sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest power.